Hello and welcome to the Artery Bitesize. In these series of little mini bite-size arty lessons, I just want to show you a few hints and tips and techniques that I don't always get time to cover during my demonstrations or lessons. So I'm going to talk about white today. White. I've got acrylics here. I've got Cadmium Yellow, Cadmium Red and Ultramarine. So I want to show you the difference between the two main whites in paint and how they interfere or change or react or interact with colours, because it's important to know why things may work or why things may not go in the way that you want them to. So first of all, titanium white is a white that everybody uses a lot. It's a familiar colour and it's a nice opaque white. So if I put a little bit of white down there and go in with some cadmium yellow, I've got quite a decent amount on my brush. A bit more white just so you can see. So what happens here is it bleaches the colour. So in fact, if I keep adding white to this, I'll end up with basically a Naples yellow or a cream, because that's how Naples yellow is made by some paint brands, is that they use, I'm adding a bit more yellow on this side. You can see the lights showing it nice and glossy. These are student quality paints, but it doesn't really make any difference. So here we've got titanium white. So it changes the colour. Bleaches it out. Let's see how it looks with cadmium red. Let's put a nice big dollop on here. Go into our cadmium red, start at the end, mix a bit more of it as it meets more white. You can see it stops it from being red and makes it pink. What does it do with ultramarine blue? I think it's really important. Oh, I've got a bit of yellow in there, that won't make any difference. It's important to understand how colour works in your painting, and this will be the same if you're working in gouache, acrylics or oil paint. So you can see titanium white, because it's so opaque, totally takes the colour out. To some respects it can deaden the colour because it flattens it so much. Isn't it different compared to the original? Now let's take a look at zinc white. How does that react? So let's get a nice dollop on here. So zinc white, or mixing white, is semi-opaque. I don't know if I've got too much on there now, but let's see how that reacts with cadmium yellow. Now what happens here, you can see instantly how it lightens the colour, but retains the translucency and glow. Let me just add more, because obviously I don't want to make it seem unfair. So there's a nice big dollop. And even with a lot of titanium white, zinc white, sorry, even with a lot of zinc white, it's still more yellow, whereas titanium white has made it cream, zinc white has made it a light yellow. What about cadmium red? Let's put a look at this. Look at all of this on here. I think this is definitely more zinc white than I put titanium white. Let's go with cadmium red. Now, how pink will this make it? Obviously, any white to red will make pink. But can you see, I mean, I have got a lot more. Let's remove some of that. I have got a lot more white paint on here than I have red. Look at the difference it makes, which is why it's really important if you're sort of working on flowers, or you want subtle tints of a colour, you want to go with zinc white or mixing white, because it doesn't bleach out, and that's because it's semi-opaque. Okay, let's go with zinc white or mixing white. They're often they're called different things, but they're varying levels of opacity, whereas the titanium white is the full opaque one. Okay, let's try it with ultramarine. So if I was painting a sky, for example, I would probably lean towards titanium white with the ultramarine. But if I was working in flowers, I would want zinc white or mixing white. Look at the difference. Look at the difference. Or if I was doing more of a summer sky, I could use the mixing white. Or a winter sky, I'd use the titanium white. If I was working with portraits, I'd probably want to use the titanium white because I can get more chalkier skin tones. But if I was going to do, I don't know, lipstick or reddened cheeks, I might switch to zinc white or mixing white. So hopefully you found that really interesting, because it is different, and it's good to acknowledge that the different whites will give you a totally different effect. So titanium white is opaque, very opaque, and it bleaches out colour, whereas zinc white is semi-transparent, or mixing white is semi-transparent, sorry. And you can see that, here's a tube, you can see that square there has a diagonal line through it, but it's clear. When it's got a diagonal line through it, it means it's semi-transparent. When it hasn't got any line and it's just a square, a clear square, it means it's transparent. So a clear square is transparent. A clear square with a line down it is semi-transparent. A square where half of it is black and the other half is clear is semi-opaque. And a full black square means it's fully opaque. So those are the major differences in how you can tell about your paint. So you want one white that is fully opaque, so that will be a black square, and one white that is semi-transparent, which is a white square with a line down it. And that should make a huge difference to your palette. So you need to know which colours are going to do what to your paint. So as I say, this will work in gouache, it will work in acrylics, it will work in oils. Now, it can work in watercolour, however, Chinese white in watercolour is more transparent, whereas artists' quality titanium white is more opaque. And that will work more like that, and it will give your paints more of a chalky feel. So I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Artery Bite Size, and I'm sure I'll join you again very soon. Thank you very much and take care. Bye-bye.